Hey guys, welcome back. So sorry if the lighting looks a little bit weird in this video. It's because I am actually filming at night, and I try I try to do most of my filming during the day so that I can, because I face like a really big window here and there's a lot of natural light that comes in. And I waited a little too long to film this today, and it's already dark outside here. So I just have a lamp sort of in front of me, and then my computer screen, which is what that white kind of light is. But it kind of looks a little bit weird and different than it normally does. So I apologize if that's like super distracting and annoying. But anyway, so this is going to be kind of a different style of video than my normal content. It's not makeup related, so if you're here for like the usual like makeup content, then you might as well click away now because it's not going to involve any of that. It's actually going to be a video that I was inspired by a lot of other YouTubers to create outside of the beauty community, and that is that's my cat Alaska right there. Hi Alaska! Alaska? She knows her name. Alaska! See? So if she responds, sometimes it's pretty funny. Yeah, so I was inspired by a lot of other YouTubers that have made similar videos to this, which is the either Ancestry DNA or 23&Me DNA test kits. And so I'm not going to be revealing my results live to you guys or anything. Like this isn't the first time I'm seeing my results, because I actually did this DNA test a few years ago, like before it became a trend to kind of post results on YouTube and stuff. So I'm not gonna like fake it or lie to you guys or pretend like this is shocking news or anything like that. Like I already know my results, so I'm just kind of going to be sharing them with you anyways. So before I do, I just want to firstly ask you guys, I mean, spoiler alert, this isn't going to be like shocking reveal. Like whatever you think I am, just based on looking at me, you're probably right with what my DNA actually is. And so comment below before I say it, unless you've already watched the whole video, but comment below what you think my heritage results are going to show, like where you think I am from and what my family history is, kind of in the comments below. But yeah, as I said, when I first did this test, I wasn't like, I'm not adopted, so I already kind of had some of the information about my family lineage and stuff just from based on what my parents had told me. But I've seen a lot of videos where people are like, oh, my parents told me on this and this, and then they take the test and they're like way not the same. So, and that's not, I don't think, anyone's parents' fault or anything. It's just obviously somewhere along the way something got miscommunicated, or somebody put more emphasis on one part of their ancestry than another, and so people end up thinking, oh, I'm 85% X or whatever, and turns out that it's a much smaller percentage or something like that. So as much as I already kind of anticipated my results, I was a little tiny bit surprised just in the percentages, which I'll explain later, just because it didn't necessarily match up with what I was told from my parents to an exact percentage. It was still basically consistent with what I was told, but just certain countries were a little bit less prominent than I expected they would be. So let me start out by kind of telling you what I assumed about my own heritage going into this. Obviously I'm white. I'm very white. You can't really tell on camera, but like I'm very, very fair skinned. And looking at my features and things like that, I didn't really see much ethnic diversity in my appearance. Sorry I keep glancing that way. It's my cats are just really getting antsy right now because it's later in the day. Like I said, I normally don't film this late, and I think they're hungry and stuff. But anyway, yeah. So I was kind of anticipating they were just gonna say I'm a white person, you know, like that's kind of what I had in my mind going into it. But I did kind of have a few clues outside of what my parents had told me. Like, for example, like I had braces growing up, so like my teeth are pretty straight now, but before the braces they were not. So I kind of had the crooked teeth thing. So that sort of, to me, I was thinking, okay, British people generally tend to have more crooked teeth and stuff. Like, I know these are all stereotypes, and I mean, definitely mean no offense to anybody. Like, I don't mean to offend anybody out there if I say a stereotypical physical characteristic that, you know what I'm trying to say. Like, this is not meant to offend anybody. It's not meant to make anybody go, hey, like, that's not what we look like here in whatever country. But these are just my own personal preconceptions about looking at my own features and trying to figure out what that meant for me genetically. So I kind of thought, okay, British has got to be in there, because I have the crooked teeth. The only part that for me was like making me question if I was like 100% white is just that I have very dark eyes. As you can see, my eyes are brown, but they're very, very, very dark brown. Like, if I get really close to the camera, you might be able to see like my pupils, but most of the time from a distance, like, my entire iris of my eye kind of just looks black or very, very dark brown. So when I was thinking of certain European countries and stuff, that's where a lot of the blue and green eyes kind of come in. So I was thinking, okay, maybe there's something in there that like gave me the brown eyes. So that was kind of just based on looking at myself in the mirror, what I was kind of thinking about. And then so I'll give you the rundown of what my parents kind of told me as well about my family history. So my mom's side of the family, she had basically told me they were from the UK, like, generally speaking, like, mainly British, maybe a little bit from Wales, but that was about as specific as it got, because she said, like, her entire, like, both my mom's mom and my mom's dad, I had been told, had come from somewhere in the UK. So that was basically contributing to what I assumed was 50% of my genetics was for sure something UK, you know, British, Irish, Scottish, something like in there. And then my dad's side of the family, so my maiden name, it's not my name anymore because I'm married now, but my maiden name, last name is Brazeau, which is a French name. So I knew there was some French in there. My dad said, yeah, my dad said his dad or whatever was French Canadian, which obviously originally, if you go back far enough, is just French from France, because Canada was settled by France and Britain. So I knew there was some French in there, and then my dad had told me that his mother was Scottish, I think, but either way, UK again. So that was in my mind, kind of leading to the assumption that I was 75% UK and 25% French. So now I'll get into the actual results that I got for my DNA test. So surprising exactly 0 people in this world, my results came back saying I am 100% European. So there goes my theory about the dark eyes thing. I guess Europeans still have dark eyes. Again, this was not surprising to me at all. I mean, I think it's kind of interesting that there was, you know, because humanity has existed for so many years, and people have been traveling across different continents and things like that for centuries. And I find it a little bit surprising that there was not even a single instance where any other kind of genetics kind of made their way in there. And nope, it's 100% European. So I have no African, no Native American or Asian, no other stuff mixed in there. So not surprising. I wish I could have something a little more scandalous to tell you guys. I don't know why. It's just not because there's absolutely nothing wrong with the fact that I'm 100% European. Like, I'm fine with that. I'm proud of my heritage, but it's just not shocking, because when you look at me, just physically, that's what I look like I am, and that's what I am. So, shocker. But let's get into the breakdown of that. So, out of the 100% European, I'm actually only 7.3% French, and I'm 81.4% British and Irish. So, it's very close to what I was told by my parents. It's just, I had thought I was about 25% French, and then 75%, would be British Irish kind of thing. Turns out I'm actually a little bit less French than I thought, and I can understand why that was maybe lost in translation, because like my last name was French, so obviously that made me think like, oh, well, that's my, I have a French last name. I'm obviously like got a lot of French, but it's just because that's the name, that's the way names, tend to work. Like it's always the father's father or whatever, but you're missing the entire other side, right? The entire mother's side of all of those generations gets lost over time just because that's not the name that gets passed on. So, yeah, so 81.4% British and Irish, 7.3% French. It actually, on 23&Me, it classifies the French category as French and German. But when I clicked into it to get a little more specific, it showed me like the regions within that sub-region. Like French and German was like considered like a subcategory. And then it showed me even more subcategories within that subcategory. And when I looked at all the subcategories within it, they were all French. So I assume that means that although it classified it as French and German, none of the areas in there were German. So I guess that means I don't really have any German. It was pretty much all, that 7.3% is pretty much all French. So you might be wondering, like, 81.4 and 7.3 still doesn't add up to 100. So where are the other few percentages coming in? So I have 2.2% Scandinavian, which is interesting. I mean, I don't really have Scandinavian features. Like I said, I have dark eyes. I have not blonde hair. So that one was a little bit, I mean, it's a very small percentage. So it's not really, none of these are very, like, shocking to me. But, and then below that, 7% is just classified as broadly Northwestern European. So I guess they couldn't specify with that last 7% or whatever where that was. And then there's still a couple more tiny percentages to go. So Southern European is comprised of a few different regions, and one of those is Spanish and Portuguese. I'm 1% Spanish and Portuguese, so basically nothing. 1% is like almost nothing. And then just the last 3% of that is broadly Southern European. So those are the only specifics they really gave me. A lot of the specifics were within the larger chunks, like the British and Irish section and the French and German section. So that's kind of my results for my my ancestry. They tell you a little more than just ancestry on the 23andMe website. If you pay for, they have like a just ancestry package, and then they have one that includes like health reports and stuff. So hang on, need some coffee. The health reports and stuff, like, I don't know, they're not like really super reliable. Like you can't use it as like medical fact or anything, but they also have a section just talking about like your traits, which is kind of interesting. So they can detect based on your DNA like certain physical traits that you are likely to have. So based on my results, I'll just read out some of the ones that they got correct and some of the ones that are kind of interesting. So I'm not going to read all of them because there's just like so many, but so they have cleft chin as one of the options. So I assume what that means is when people have that dimple in their chin, which I don't have. So, and they said that I likely don't have that, which is correct. What else they have? Eye color. They said actually that I have likely brown or hazel eyes, which was correct. I do. Obviously I have brown eyes. They have a finger length ratio one, which is interesting, and that's basically measuring whether or not your ring finger is longer or shorter than your index finger. So they had determined that I likely had a longer ring finger than index finger, which I believe is, if you look at my hand, it's basically correct. Like my ring finger, this one here, is a little bit longer than my index finger. What else is in here that they got right? Hair texture, they said likely straight or wavy. That's actually wrong. I have curly hair. This is styled, so it's not my natural curls, but obviously if you've seen any of my other videos, there are quite a few videos where I leave my hair natural and it's like pretty curly. I mean, I guess you could consider that wavy. So maybe that, I don't know, it's somewhere between wavy and curly, I would say. And then it says, It says less likely to have thick hair. That's also incorrect. I have very thick hair. So they were off on a few of these. What else do they have here? Skin pigmentation, likely lighter skin. Yep. What else do they have here? Yeah, they've got quite a few. Like, I'm not mentioning all of them, but they have a lot of different, like, likelihood of freckles. They actually said I'd likely have a lot of freckles. I don't have freckles, although my sister and my dad both have a lot of freckles. So I guess it's in my genes. I just don't exhibit it. I'm a carrier maybe, or something like that. So yeah, if you haven't done 23andMe or Ancestry or whatever the other brands are, I would suggest checking it out. I mean, it's kind of fun just to find out if what you think you know about your ancestry is what you actually know. Like if that's actually true, if that's correct. Especially if you're adopted or something, or you don't have a lot of knowledge about your family history. I think it's kind of interesting just to learn like where you're from and stuff like that. So I thought it was a really fun experience. I mean, even though I didn't find anything like overly shocking, like I wasn't really doing it for that. Like I wasn't hoping to get any specific result. I kind of, like I said, I already had a pretty good idea where I came from. I was just curious if that was accurate or not, and it seems like it was pretty accurate. So it's kind of cool. And yeah, I'd like to hear some of if you guys have done a similar video, like post it in the comments below, because I love watching like these kind of like ancestry videos and stuff. It's kind of interesting. So yeah, hopefully you like this video. I know it's kind of off brand for me. It's not my usual content, but I just thought it'd be kind of a fun one to make. So okay, that's all guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.